Welcome back, everyone. It is welcome back. It is time for us to jump into our afternoon debrief of our exercise. Before we do that, I have a few logistical items. We're going to drop the anonymous pulse survey into the chat box. Please do that at your leisure this evening. We'll review it in the morning. We're looking for things you want us to keep, some things you want us to start, some things you want us to stop, and anything else on your mind. We also want to remind you that a takeaway sheet for today will be linked to our website before the end of the day. I'll also drop that into Slack for you. Finally, if you have not signed up to be a question lead for a lunchtime bite-sized talk, we definitely have open spots. All you have to do is sign up. We'll drop that in the chat box for you also. You're just expected to come with a few questions and help us to diversify the number of voices on those recordings besides mine. All right. A quick thank you to our TAs for the day. Matan, Nadia, Jonathan, Phil, Aaron, Peter, Amy, Emma, Huate. I finally learned how to pronounce that, Huate, Faye, and pinch hitter Addison, who on a moment's notice jumped in and was ready to help out with Stata when there was a request, and also helped with visualizations today. So big shout out to Addison. When I asked Addison if she was willing to help with visualization, she said, so do we need like to build interactive dashboards? I'm like, no, we're thinking more like histograms, but thank you. She was that deep into it. She's like, okay, I'm building interactive dashboards. So if you did not get her email address, I would recommend you do, because she can build interactive dashboards. Okay. Special guest Akira Bell this morning for inspiration, our senior VP and CIO of Mathematica, where all of our TAs come from. Akasha and Newman from Data Nutrition, event staff Amanda, Amber, and Ava. Thank you all. All right, so we're going to jump into the debrief. So I'm hoping each of our teams will sort of share where things went today. Again, just got about a couple minutes each for this. So we're looking for two things: process, and then also we'd love for you to share your visualization if you have one. So that could either be something you're very proud of, or it could be drum roll, nailed it. That's not exactly what you expected, right? So wherever you are, whatever you came up with, we'd love to see it. Okay, so we're looking for in your presentation, what data set did you use, and what two techniques from the video you decided to use? Did any language in the tweets predict the number of retweets or likes and messages the messages received? Or if you decided to use some other Twitter data set, maybe other likes by other people, are there any features of the language of the person in the data set that have an association with the approval ratings? Okay, if you did something different, let us know what you did. We'd also love to know what challenges you encountered throughout the process, and then of course, drum roll, show off your visualization so we see what you came up with. And I believe we're set so that folks can share. So I am hoping for a volunteer, first group here. Volunteer, I don't love to volunteer, but I will if I have to. So we're looking for either team Felicia Rashad, Chandra Wilson, Ajoa Ando, Viola Davis, or Kerry Washington. Our groups today are, of course, Shondaland actresses. So I'm looking for a hand. Great, Todd, thank you so much. Go ahead and unmute yourself and turn on your camera.
Hi, everyone, and my teammates can also join me. I will share my screen. So we decided to look at a different set of data, some tweets from the show, or about the show, that mentioned High on the Hog. So our process, we basically used the Twitter API to get those tweets. This was something that the other team had already started on, and then we started looking at some sentiment analyses. I will pass it to Jeremy to talk about that.
Yes, so essentially, like our process with the sentiment analysis, like using the R tweets package. We have tweets. We were able to gather tweets for the past 7 days, from June 9th to June 16th. Essentially, the sentiments, essentially the code that we were able to run essentially already had, like, I guess, words that were built in to check if they were going to be positive or negative words. And as you can see, like, the graphs obviously look pretty different over time, and it was just really interesting just to kind of see like the peak points. Like, I'm thinking about like kind of where there may have been some more tweeting and more words that are happening, like kind of during the weekend time when people were actually able to engage with the show. And yeah, and I think overall, it looks like there was a lot of positive sentiments in regards to the show, and people really enjoy High on the Hog and what it represents. So
yeah, and one of the, oh, sorry, I cut you off, Jeremy.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, one of the things that was really interesting that we found was that the dictionary that we used for our sentiment analysis really doesn't capture sentiments in this context, because there were words like dope or damn that were coded as negative, but were clearly positive. And so because it's built off of user reviews in mainstream American English, it doesn't really capture how positivity is represented in this context.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. We also did, so we weren't sure, but would love to learn more about how to aggregate the sentiment analyses at the full kind of tweet level. So we're using words. So we did a linear model to try to predict the retweet count, and we used followers count, the statuses count, and verify with the idea that we joined in user data, thinking that like certain users who are power users might be more likely to be retweeted. And then we also used their favorite count. So with that, we fit the data fairly well, but specifically for people who had at least one retweet, and for people who didn't have any, it was kind of all over the place. But we got an R-squared of 0.78. And then we did a scatter plot of the followers count by the retweets count. And I'll pass that to the team.
Yeah, so we just did a scatter plot of, I think, is this one log transformed? We had to log transform the data because we had, most people had very few retweets and very few followers. And so to account for that sort of drastic change, difference, we did a log transform on the data. So you can see that most people had very few retweets, but the people who were more retweeted had more followers. And we didn't have time to make the graph as pretty as we would have liked, but it's complete.
I think also just another piece of it is that, you know, thinking about the sentiment analysis, a project that we were joking about that would be very interesting is being able to create or generate some type of, I don't think, is it a sentiment dictionary where the words that specifically like the Black community uses via social media or just via anywhere, that it's a little bit different, so we actually can, so the sentiments are captured in a much better way.
Thank you, Team Felicia Rashad. Go ahead and turn off your cameras and we will remove your spotlights. I added to the chat box too. We also heard from Wikidata about a page in data on Black vernacular. And I know we have 2 linguists in here too. So there's lots of opportunity here with your project. So we're looking for our next volunteer. So I do not have to volunteer people to go. So we've got either Chandra Wilson, Joa Ando, Viola Davis, or Kerry Washington. Who's up next? Yes, go ahead. What team are you on? All the team members, please turn on your cameras so we can start to spotlight you.
We are from Team Viola Davis. I love her so much. I was really happy. Okay, so we all collectively decided that we wanted to do analysis of how people perceive the topic of wealth and how that intersects with the concept of racial economic mobility, or how people belonging to different identity groups positively or negatively talk about wealth. And so we kind of collected tweets from that. And then we spent quite a good bit of time getting our APIs to work, because all of us have APIs thanks to Marissa, who came to our rescue today. And we all spent some time catching up from yesterday, and we made a lot of progress. And we analyzed the Twitter data. Marissa, do you want to share?
Yes, I can share. I had a hiccup, my R quit, but I was able to get everything back just in time. So I will share the visualizations that we have so far, and kind of how it was also a teaching or learning lesson about what kind of works and what doesn't work. So first, we analyze the most frequent words. So for our Twitter search, we search by the keyword wealth, because we're interested in how people are talking about wealth. So of course, our most used word was wealth, and we had women, health, love, so on and so forth. So then we was like, well, let's weight it by TF-IDF to see the most important words. But this was still using the tidy text method, which isn't my favorite form of method. And this is our teaching lesson because when we did weight it by TF-IDF, our visualization was jibber jabber, jibber jabber, jibber jabber, jibber jabber, which is what the tidy text method is not good at cleaning URLs. So when we did it the other method, we did some pre-processing of the data to remove out like emojis, remove out URLs, remove out the ampersand, I can never say that correctly, prior to doing topic modeling, so we wouldn't have jibber jabber in our topic models. So we ran the topic models, and this is what we got for 10 topics. So we still need to figure out how many topics are best representative of our data, but then also to weight our topics by TF-IDF, because as you can see here, wealth is a very clear defining feature of the topics that we did have. But when we looked at the top used words, we found some interesting thing about women were being mentioned, and health was being mentioned even more so than money when we're looking at the topic of wealth. So we still have a lot more work and a lot more digging to do, but that's where we've gotten so far today.
I want to highlight that we did have a good laugh during our groups, and it was much more relaxed, and we kind of took our time and we focused on learning more than trying to reach some place. And I think we reached a place that we did not have in mind. So I think it was overall a very positive experience.
Thank you, Team Viola Davis. Fantastic. Go ahead and turn off your cameras and we'll unspotlight you. So we're looking for either Chandra Wilson, Ajoa Ando, or Kerry Washington. Who's up next? Looking for a hand. Let's see. Looking for a hand. All right. So voluntelling is the method we're doing now. Okie dokie. So let's go with Ajoa Ando. Please unmute yourself and turn on your cameras. Thank you, thank you.
I can't turn my camera on.
That's okay. You can just turn on your audio and we'll know to spotlight you.
Okay, okay.
And who are we? Who is
This
talking?
Kimberly.
Okay, I got you, Kimberly. No worries.
Thank you.
Let's see. We'll work on spotlighting you. There we go. Actually, I don't think I can spotlight you if you don't turn on your camera, but we can hear you talk, so go for it.
Okay, yeah. It said the host had stopped it. I think I left my camera on before and I had stepped out. I don't know. But anyhow, so who wants to take over? Oh, there we go.
There we go. We got you.
Okay.
Yay! There we go.
Oh, wait, where's the rest of the group?
That would be Regis and Elaine. I see Regis, Elaine, Erica. Where is Erica? And Elaine.
I can't turn on my camera today, sorry.
No worries, no
Yeah.
worries. We can still hear you, so go ahead.
Regis, take it away.
Sure, you do that. We are not as proficient as some of the other groups. We spent a lot of time learning, to be honest, and kind of playing with the data. We ended up using the Trump tweets ourselves, and mostly got as far as, say, topic modeling. Or at least kind of an initial one. I will just definitely share at least some of the things that we did. One of the things that we did was we did create a dictionary. We kind of interested in kind of how we just created very simple one, love and hate, to kind of do an initial sort of text analysis of our data. And the screen. And some of the initial sort of things that we produced was just this obviously kind of love showing up a lot, although what sentiment he used that under is questionable. But the these are some of the top sort of frequently used words that came up when we kind of segmented the data in that way. We produced a sentiment analysis. However, I'm not sure how useful that is in a data set that already is kind of segmented by sentiment, but again, kind of going through and just testing out this stuff and kind of learning how to use it. And then we were also able to produce this, and this was kind of, at first I was not sure, I don't know how to use this. Elaine was very helpful in kind of explaining how to look at it, and once you kind of look at it in this way, it makes sense. Certain things like media, fake, and news kind of get oriented around hate, whereas things like Republican Pennsylvania gets around love. So you know, it was interesting to kind of just really kind of play with these methods. I don't know if anyone else wanted to mention anything else.
It was definitely a learning experience, and I know that for my part, I ended up being a few steps behind a lot of people because I had to troubleshoot R itself, because I think at one point I was using the wrong version, so I was getting a lot of error messages about what version I was using. So I went into the to go talk to the TAs, and so we sorted that out. I had to actually manually go in and install certain expansions, install certain, like, check certain boxes, debugging. Pretty much that was like half the day for me. Came back in, things were working. I got DebriefR to work and everything like that, and then I had to go back and figure out how to do other things. I feel like I'm going to continue working through it to where I get through the like the sentiment analysis and stuff like that too, like just on my own. But for the most part, I had to like wrangle R into being able to do anything, either on the TM side or the tidyverse side. But I think I ended up being able to use tidyverse once I figured that out. So that's something. So if you got a lot of errors and stuff like that, and maybe only one person or a couple of other people, or maybe everyone but you was able to get certain things to work, then it might be something to do with R. It's not necessarily that you're doing something wrong, although that's also possible. It might just be that, you know, your version is different. You might have to go in and enable certain things. Like that was the case for me.
Thank you so much, Team Ajoa Ando. I think there are a lot of great lessons there. So I stay on StackFlow and Googling stuff and debugging. This is all life. If you are debugging and Googling and trying to figure stuff out, you are doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So, you know, this work that we're doing, debug, exactly. So we've got two more teams. Thank you all for staying with us. We're going a little bit over because we want to accommodate our last two teams. So we're looking for, let's go with Kerry Washington. Team Kerry Washington, go ahead and turn on your cameras. Thank you, so we can spotlight you. I see Yandu, I see Troy, I see Ebony, and Regina. Okay. Shout out to Berkeley. I see you, Regina. There we go. Take over, guys.
Okay, so we also analyzed the Trump tweets, and compared to the, I guess from the video, we looked at both positive and negative tweets, and had had decided to do both sentiment analysis and topic modeling. I don't know if anyone else wants to take over.
Yeah, so with the sentiment analysis, that was much easier to do than the topic modeling. It took many, Chandra ran this code and it had like 100 iterations, and then it took like, I felt like 20 or so minutes to run. So as we waited on that, we like tried to do some other stuff. So one of the things we did was like run a couple models to look at, we looked at two things, how sentiment, whether sentiment was predictive of the retweet count or the favorite count, and it was a both, but here's the model that we'll be showing. So this is predicting retweet count by sentiment. And so it seems that like with the more negative sentiments were positively correlated with the retweet count numbers, and positive sentiments were had the opposite relationship, so they were negatively correlated. So more negative posts, more retweets for Trump. And so the other thing that we did with the approval data frame, this also took some time because we were trying to decide, we wanted to like merge the two data frames, and we wanted to decide what we wanted to merge them by and what exactly was interesting. So we're looking at the approval estimates and the sentiments. So we like had to like look at the dates that were relevant and like merge by those dates and put those together. And so we ran a model, again, using sentiment as our predictor variable. And this time we had approval estimates. And so that we saw like a similar situation as before, but also something that's interesting that we noticed was that the coefficient for the positive sentiments was like very tiny. So like it really didn't matter what he was posting, like his approval was, about the same. And so here's a graph that reflects the pie plot that reflects the approval ratings for Trump. But yeah, anything else anyone wants to add?
The only thing that I will add is just process related. For this group, I appreciated how we worked together because it took a bit of Googling, trial and error, but we worked as a team. And I think that that's helpful as a new learner. And then it helps combat being very hard on yourself because it took all of us to arrive to this final outcome. So I just wanted to lift that up.
Thank you, Ebony. Thank you, team. Carrie Washington. And I just want to point out and amplify what Ebony said, which is, even when you're really experienced with this, you stay on Google. You stay Googling stuff all the time. Google, 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 Google. All right, let's drop the share screen. And we have our final team, which is Team Chandra Wilson. Going to remove our spotlights here and add our new ones. Thank you for bearing with us. I see Nicole there, so we're spotlighting Nicole and Swazik. Get you in there, Swazik. And would Felix or Ibukan like to join them also?
They might not be here. I don't see them here, but we don't actually have our visualizations. Felix had to take off before he was able to share them with us. So I will be quick because I know that we are running over. We actually did use the Trump tweets and we did a few different things in terms of looking at specific dates for specific events. Mainly surrounding protests. So we looked at the kneeling events for NFL games, September 24, 2017. We also looked at the Charlottesville protests. And yeah, I mean, in terms of visualization, like I said, Felix was really heavy on walking us through that and making sure that we all sort of understood. And it is, I can only echo what other people have said. It is definitely a team effort and everybody working together. And I think another team also mentioned that today was a lot about learning. And for me, it was definitely that. But it was really rewarding in the end, even though we don't have it to share with you all, to actually think all these things up and problem solve all day and then have this visualization at the end. For me, I was like, oh yes, finally, this is so good. So yeah, that's it. We had a good day. We didn't get as far as some other folks, but it was definitely a great learning process and really rewarding to work with everyone.
Swazik would like, okay, great. So so I will, Swazik, did you want to add something? Are we good? Unmute for us, please.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Nicole said, that it takes effort from all the team members in terms of contribution for the ideas that we wanted to explore, and then also a lot of back and forth with the code. But at the end of the day, we were so happy to see the graph and the tweaks being plotted. So thank you.
Thank you all. We're going to remove the spotlights. Thank you. All right. I'm just going to close us out with a quote from one of my favorite philosophers, which I think is apropos today. So Miss Cardi B says the following: do whatever you have to do. People always want to tell you how to do it. No, do it your way, and don't ask for like, oh, how can you do it? Just do it and figure it out. So it seems like we did a lot of do it and figuring it out today. I hope people had fun. I hope they laughed. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I apologize for taking 11 extra minutes of your time. We will do better tomorrow. Have a great afternoon or evening or morning, depending on where you are. If you are staying for an interview, please head to the 90 Seconds of Fame room. If not, head out on your day, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you all for watching. For more information on SICSS-Howard Mathematica, visit our website, follow us on social media, and join our email list.